Buffalo chicken. I could eat this every day, and I do. You know, that makes me wonder though, what do they eat at the fort? Sounds like another Massac minute, but after I eat this first.
Napoleon Bonaparte once said, "An army marches on its stomach." This seems logical, but what were those stomachs filled with, and how? During the French occupation of the Ohio Valley, soldiers ate a diet consisting mostly of meat, salted or fresh, and bread. Some literature cites the weekly provision for each soldier at 3 pounds of beef, 3 pounds of pork, 1 pound of fish, and 10.5 pounds of bread or meal. Oh, and don't forget the gill of rum, a gill equaling about 4 fluid ounces. Hunting for wild game did occasionally supplement the food supplies, but was considered a dangerous task due to the threat of native attacks. Settlements around the fort were important in growing crops such as wheat and corn, and raising livestock. For the French, the Illinois country was pivotal in supplying French Canada and Louisiana with food, especially wheat. During the American occupation of Fort Massac, soldiers were given a daily ration of 20 ounces of beef, 12 ounces of pork, 18 ounces of flour, and 1 gill of whiskey. It was not uncommon for food to arrive at the fort rotten or stale, or to not arrive at all. Military posts relied on food contractors for the supply of provisions. The dependability of the food contractor varied from fort to fort, and occasionally the men themselves had to furnish their own supplies. The locals took advantage of this whole process by charging extravagant prices for their goods. You may notice one food group is missing from the above, and that is vegetables. Some forts were able to grow a vegetable garden to supplement their diet, but most went without. I'll leave you with a quote from a surgeon reporting on the diet of soldiers to Congress.
When a recruit receives his ration, if the meat be fresh, he broils it to a cinder on the coals on the end of his ramrod. If salt pork, he eats it raw, and if salt beef, he boils it, and with his bread will make a pretty good meal for some time. But in the morning he feels the want of his usual infusion of tea, and at noon his customary supply of vegetables. As a substitute for the former, he warms his stomach with a gill of undiluted corroding whiskey, and, after living a few weeks in this way, is sent to the surgeon worn down with dysentery, diarrhea, and other complaints of the stomach and bowels. Well, I didn't hear a lot of buffalo chicken mentioned on those rations. Good thing I'm not living back then. And that has been your Massac Minute.